Good morning, friends. Mike Trzynski from Open Gate Ministries with you here on a Saturday. And I wanted to do a devotional with you today instead of a teaching. You may ask, what's the difference? Well, a teaching obviously has scriptural content, expounding on the word with accompanying illustrations. There's usually an application, things like that. A devotional tends more to be inspirational. It's, usually briefer. Is that a word? More brief. And it's not heavy with content. It's kind of like maybe some counsel, advice, something to inspire you. So that's what I'm aiming to do today. And I want to title this Past, Present, Future. Do you realize a lot of people live in the past? I'm all for going down a scroll on memory lane to think about things, what used to be. Kids were small, different situations, experiences. That's all positive. But unfortunately, people live in a negative past in which they were hurt, wounded, rejected, where there's bitterness in their life whenever they think of anything negative from the past. And that's not where God wants us to live, obviously. There needs to be, with something like that, what we call inner healing, deliverance, maybe professional counseling, things like that to get you out of that, because there needs to be a releasing, a letting go, getting on with life, so to speak, so that the past is the past. Always appreciate the good, the positive things that God has done in your past. That's all healthy, but things change. Have you realized that? We change location, homes, jobs, churches, friends, coming in and out of our lives. Things always change. Hardly anything stays the same, if at all. Jesus does, and your marriage is meant to be, but even that can change. But the thing is, your kids change. They get older, they start families of their own. So things change. Appreciate the past for what it is. If it's negative, get healing, get free, get delivered, get counsel, move on from it, release, be released. As far as the future goes, now again, there's a positive and a negative to that. The future, positively, there always needs to be something of a vision, goals, something to look forward to, anticipate, expect. That's healthy. What's not so healthy with the future is having your mind and heart so in the future that you avoid or don't really take advantage of the present. And that can be in various ways. You can look at the future and be fearful of it. And the Lord doesn't want you to live in fear, obviously. He hasn't given us a spirit of fear or uncertainty. When we look at the future, we need to have the attitude of I think it's the woman in Proverbs 31 where it says she smiles at the future. Some translations even say she laughs. So there needs to be a posturing of our hearts and minds that good is going to come from the future as we continue to walk with God. Not being totally indifferent toward it either. The whatever will be, will be. Again, there has to be a direction, looking at the future. Good things await me because I'm walking with the Lord. And in terms of the present, here is the reality. Here's where we live, right here, today, now. There's a hidden beauty in the present that needs to be found. Sometimes I'll just stop whatever I'm doing, walking in the woods, praying, sitting by a lake, reading a book or whatever, and I'll just think of the present. This is good. I like this. This is therapeutic. It's healthy. The Lord is good. He wants us to live in the present. Appreciate the past, look forward to the future, but don't neglect the present. Live in the moment. You ever remember those commercials? Kodak did them, I think, years ago. The Kodak moment where you take a picture, your wife and your kids are with you, and you think, oh, that is so nice. Well, Kodak moments are the present. They need to be etched on our hearts and minds. This is where we're living right now. And with that, you do the best you can with what you have. And you're not second guessing yourself. You're not living in what ifs, if only I had done this or that. It's living in the present. And then lastly, keeping Christianity simple. One of my favorite scriptures is 2 Corinthians 11:3. Paul writing to Corinth, the Christians in Corinth, he says, "But I am afraid, lest as the serpent deceived Eve by his craftiness, your minds should be led astray from the simplicity and purity of devotion to Christ." Think about that. What does that mean? What is the simplicity and purity of devotion to Christ? To me, it means simply a love relationship, being intimate with the Lord, recognizing that He lives in you and you abide in Him, a willingness to serve, a compassion for people, bearing fruit. All these things are part of a love relationship with Christ, being in His will. And with that, we keep Christianity simple. Who complicates it? Or how does it get complicated? I'll tell you a couple of things that do complicate Christianity is us trying to figure everything out. That's not going to happen. Some people are into figuring out when the Lord's going to return to this planet. And you know what? Everyone who's tried that has been wrong. And then there's other things, trying to figure out your life and where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And again, living in the moment, living in the grace of God keeps you from cluttering that up in your mind, and it keeps Christianity simple. And the other thing is that we don't clutter Christianity with trying to be a people pleaser. You're not going to please everybody. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. And that's a given. So settle that right now. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes, yet God's going to love me anyway and lead me and guide me with His eye upon me. I like what the psalmist said. I believe it was David, might have been somebody else, but he says, "Help me not to involve myself in things that are too difficult for me." And I like that. Keep Christianity simple, uncomplicated, and pure. Remember the innocence you had when you first became a Christian, how everything was brand spanking new, and it's like, if you could just capture that, put it in a bottle and say, this is what I want it to be all the time. Well, it doesn't happen that way. Things change, as I said, but you can continue in the innocence, in the childlike nature of a love relationship with Christ. So appreciate the past, look forward to the future, but live in the present. Live in the moment. Stop and smell the roses, I think someone said one time. So that's what I want to share with you in terms of an inspirational, devotional thought for the day. Next week I'll be back and I'll probably get into some teaching at that point. In the meantime, if you like these messages, subscribe and share them with others. Let others benefit from the blessing that you're getting by sharing them with your friends. Okay, so we'll see you next week. God bless.